So my aunt showed up again, and this time I did not end up in a physical altercation, although her guy tried me, and I had to swing like a full length, big ass, heavy duty garden hoe at a car to show him that I wasn't fucking around, basically. And he backed off, thankfully, but he still said that he was going to shoot me right between the eyes with some gun that he did not have on him. But he was talking all kinds of trash, and then my aunt was like accusing me of stealing shit from her, saying I stole her fucking, I don't know, gel pens and whatnot, and her coloring books just because I'm an artist. Like, that's literally all she knows, is that I like draw or something. That's like the very bare minimum that anybody knows about me in my family, is that I draw or does art. I don't just draw. I mean, I do a lot of shit, but whenever people think of me and my family, it's just, oh, he's an artsy type. He must like all that crap or whatever. So she immediately assumed that I had somehow stolen her fucking coloring shit, which is all cheap bullshit anyway, that I would not want or waste time with unless I was maybe like 10 years old. Um, and she's full of shit anyway, because the other lady that works on the property, Michelle, said, well, I didn't tell her when she said this, because apparently she told Michelle too that she thinks that I stole her fucking cheap ass drawing and coloring supplies. Michelle didn't tell her, but she told me that she had found all her coloring stuff. Michelle had found it back when Dorothy abandoned the property, and gave it all to her daughter, because her daughter's in third grade and she would, you know, use that stuff. And she did, I think. So, um, entirely wrong immediately. And then she was going off about how my stepdad had told her that the trailer that I was staying in prior to this current one was supposed to be ready in 2 weeks, and she wasn't fucking there after 2 weeks was over. Um, it's like it was way longer than 2 weeks, and she finally had only recently messaged the landlady last week, I think, maybe, about getting money on the 27th, having $1,000 for the 27th. She asked if she could come take this lemon truck that my aunt Dorothy's shitty ass partner, the one that threatened to shoot me between the eyes, had sold her. Didn't tell her that it was a piece of junk. He said, "Oh yeah, it was a good hauling truck, totally fine and whatnot." Sold it to her to make some drug money, basically. And then it had a ton of back fees that he didn't tell or mention and stuff, and just a bunch of other registration issues, along with mechanical issues that Victoria ended up having to pay for, the landlady. So we have two swindlers, and one of them, my aunt Dorothy, who just cannot, like she is a victim in every circumstance, even if she's the one perpetrating everything. She has every right to apparently do all the bad shit she does because of her hard ass life, and her life hasn't been any more difficult than my mom's or mine, in my opinion. Just like a different kind of flavor of difficult. And also, to add on that, a lot of the shit that's happened to her that's been bad has been stuff that she's brought upon herself. Like, there's circumstantial people, there's victims of circumstance like me, and then there's people like her and my mom who, I'm not saying my mom isn't a victim. She definitely was, especially in multiple instances, especially when she was with my dad and then her first husband, too. She was abused. She was treated like shit. She had a bad track record of, with men, and relationships. So you got that and everything. It's just like, I'm not saying that I'm 100% innocent in everything that I've done, but for the most part, I can promise and attest to you that most of the things that have happened to me, I have not deserved, and have been caused because of my family's poor choices in um, just adulting and rearing children. Like, I'm not saying everything is obviously my mom and my dad's and my stepdad's fault, but a lot of it I can argue is. Um, Sorry, my cat is being silly. But anyway, so it's just like it's stuff like that. Like she's just like going off about all this crap, how I apparently stole from her, uh, her dumb drawing materials, and then she says I stole her plates and cooking ware and stuff. Again, stuff that she abandoned in the trailer that I was previously in, that she just left there. And I didn't know what I was coming into when I moved out here. Like I genuinely didn't. My mom and my stepdad basically kind of lied to me. You know, like they embellished a lot of shit and basically omitted a lot of shit that they should have told me. So they're basically like, as soon as I moved in there, all that stuff was apparently free for me to use. And I didn't assume it was my stuff. I just assumed that it would be like, oh, this is like either this belongs to them and they're letting me borrow it, or it belongs to the landlady, because Victoria's let them borrow a lot of shit too. Um, so I didn't have any claim to ownership of it. And I honestly never ended up using any of that shit because my stepdad had not completely set up the trailer like he said he was and give it running water and shit and utilities. So it only had electricity running through it. And the only thing that worked in it was the refrigerator, besides, going in there to sleep at night and having like a heater plugged in. It was virtually just like a shack to go and sleep in, essentially. I couldn't actually like live and exist in it. So, yeah, I never ended up using any of the kitchenette, never used the stove, never used the pots and the pans or whatever the fuck else was in there. And a lot of it had spiders in it that I didn't want to deal with anyway. Like, so I was just like, I'm not touching any of this stuff. So, no, your shit was not stolen. It was basically just in storage of a trailer that you fucking abandoned on somebody's property for an indefinite amount of time that ended up being longer than 4 months. Um, so and never said, "Oh, I'm gonna come back to get this crap. Oh, I still want all this stuff." She abandoned all her items in her property, or at least most of it. Took all her drugs and shit, and left her animals, live animals behind. Multiple animals that were left behind just to rot and die, that she's changed her story multiple times on. Either she's straight up admitted to it and just made an excuse like, oh well, the dog that I abandoned was just too much for me to deal with. Even though, like, she was fine with dealing with it, before she started tweaking out and then went off and eloped with her idiot boyfriend. Um but yeah, she abandoned her animals. She left them to tear up the inside of this trailer, and I think even the other one that I was staying in. Um, so there's just a bunch of factors, like she's also doing drugs and she wasn't supposed to be. Um, she's fucking hidden, taking shit around the property that doesn't belong to her, and giving it away when it doesn't belong to her, and lent it out to people when it doesn't belong to her. And that's just the stuff that she's done here, and that's not even all of the stuff that she's done here. Like, yes, she did work on the property and she was paid for her work because Victoria is a fair person, but she was not aware of all the underhanded shit that Dorothy was doing until all this crap started coming up to light. And she still had a pretty high opinion of Dorothy. She's scratching her nails. Victoria still had a high opinion of Dorothy, up until that first altercation that happened like a month or two ago. She couldn't practically shut up about how grateful she was for the things that Dorothy had done. Like when Victoria had ended up in the hospital from a bad fall. Dorothy had apparently kept the house clean and taken care of the animals and whatnot, and Victoria was really grateful for that. But it's like all that stuff was not, like, if you think about it in the long run, all that stuff was not out of the goodness of her heart. Like, it was definitely because she knew that by doing that she'd get in good graces possibly, and just like even further her position on the property, because she's already said that, like, she stated that she wants Victoria to evict my stepdad and my mom so she can have the mobile home that they're staying in on the property, and so she can be like the main thing here. But everybody knows as soon as like that would, if Victoria was not as smart as she was and let that happen, Dorothy would just turn this entire half of the property where the residents are into like her little drug party den and everything. Like they just take full advantage of her, like they were basically doing before they got any kind of, and they didn't even get any control. But when they were trying to get control, like Sonny was trying, and I think Sonny and Dorothy were trying to get to a point where they could somehow, I think the word is usurp Mike and my mom's position on the property, because even though they're not like the best tenants, Mike still does a lot of stuff for Victoria when asked to, and he's a pretty decent handyman when you can get him on the job. So, he does things, and he doesn't do things in a shoddy methamphetamine fueled way like Vic Dorothy and her partner. So, you know, they still have their foot in the door as opposed to anything Dorothy or Sonny could try and cook up. And after she's accusing me of all this like thievery and shit, despite it all being her fault, I could already tell, like I just psychoanalyze people that are like that. Like you can definitely tell when somebody isn't functioning on the mental and psychological level that they should be for the age that they're at and the things that they've been through. She's never learned any kind of lesson. Like everything that's happened to her, she's somehow rationalized to be either a slight against her and the world is against her, or she deserves everything and everybody should just shut up and bow down to her because apparently she's had the hardest life out of anybody ever on the world. Um, so like, yeah, coming after me and shit, and I'm like, don't you still like? I would literally like tell. I just shut down everything she said. I was so non-combative this time. I straight up actually even told Sonny when he was like after he was like, because he backed off again after I showed him I meant business with that garden hoe. Um, After he like muttered some shit about shooting me between the eye, which I answered, "Do it. You'd be doing me a fucking favor." Like I don't even know how, but somehow he dialed himself back in. Maybe it was that behavior that threw him off. But then he was like, you know what? I'm not even trying to, I don't even want to start anything. And I'm like, I don't have anything that I want to start with you either today, Sonny. Actually, and in fact, Sonny, I'm actually kind of mad just like you and her are. And I'm mad because my stepdad did say that he'd have this place finished within 2 weeks, lollygagged and drug it out to like about 2 months. And it's still not done, by the way. Like right now, the AC is running, and thankfully, I do have an AC that works and runs. But it took him like 2 days to get that shit together, and all he had to do was like make a makeshift cardboard tube for the exhaust pipe of the AC and stick it up against a window, and it took him like I think 30-20 minutes to do that for some reason. And I have to have AC because the cat, she's long hair, and she can overheat very easily. Quit chewing. She's being naughty right now. Can you? What are you doing? Are you chewing on wires? Don't chew on wires. Um, like he needed to set that up for her as a living creature. Because he would have done it immediately for my mom had she asked him to. So yeah, you're being bad though. Anyway, she's really bratty. Um, anyway, he'd just been lollygagging, like I was supposed to be moved into this thing a long time ago, and we were supposed to set this whole thing up to where I could get out of the trailer. We didn't have to deal with them coming up here unannounced, uninvited to trespass and freak everybody out. And I wanted him, and Victoria wanted him to hook the truck up to the older trailer and just drive it off the property and tell her to come and get it after she fucking paid Victoria the $1,000 that she said that she was going to get for Victoria. She offered that, not something Victoria thought of and asked for. Dorothy thought of that on her own and messaged Victoria out of the blue for that. Like, if I give you $1,000 by the 27th or whatever, can I have the truck and the trailer, etc. Um, so we were like, sure, but we wanted Mike to get that shit off the property so we didn't have to see them or deal with them anymore because they're problematic and aggressive and they steal shit. So, lo and behold, they showed up unannounced, and all that crap happened. And then the cops came actually surprisingly fast this time. Like I'd say they came within like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Somehow I managed to get my aunt away from the trailer because she was fucking around or trying to get inside of it again. And I'm like, please don't go in there because I have a cat in there that, and she does. She's got emotional issues, um, especially because she's been rehomed so many times. It's like I have a cat with emotional issues, and she will get really fucking stressed out if you go in there and start fucking around with shit. And she wasn't gonna listen to me at first. Like she was just like, "That's fine," as if like she was just gonna like fucking deal with it or whatnot. And I'm like, I'm not telling you that to warn you so you can go in there. I'm telling you that so you don't fucking go in there because I don't want you in there. Like I don't want you fucking around in there, and I don't want her to get out, and I don't trust that bitch to not fuck around and not let the cat get out. She's not an outdoor cat. She's not supposed to be outside. Um, so she wasn't listening. I again don't know how I got them to back off. Maybe it was me swinging the hoe around and being a like like on like DEFCON 1 and shit. She stopped playing around, but then she started trying to insult me or whatnot and said I was like disrespectful as fuck. And I'm like, I haven't known you my whole life. What respect do I owe you? Like, fuck out of here. So, when they went back over to Victoria's side of the property and started talking to her and shit because Victoria was yelling at them and everything. Like, Victoria is not scared of them. And while that was happening, I'm like, shit, I should probably just start moving my crap out of the trailer while I can because they're not gonna they weren't gonna leave without it. So as fast as I could, I started getting all my crap ready in the other trailer and moving it into here, which took a quite a bit of time. But like 20 or 30 minutes had passed maybe while I was moving shit, and the cops got here. And then I think they talked to them for a second and de-escalated the situation that was happening over there because Dorothy kept, getting too close to Victoria, and I could hear Victoria saying, "Get the fuck away from me! Get the fuck back!" and shit like that. Um, so the cops de-escalated that, and then one of them came over and asked me politely if I could stop what I was doing and help them, and give them a statement and whatnot. And I was like, sure, no problem. Told them everything basically that happened, and they were super chill with me and had me and like waiting in the shade and everything, making sure I was comfortable, and just taking basic information down and getting the whole picture. And so thankfully they came to a whole thing where they were like, okay, well, your aunt and this guy are going to leave for like 2 hours. Does that give you enough time to, move out of that trailer and into here? And I'm like, that's more than enough time. So I was fine to do that. From what I gather, they did leave after a bit. They didn't leave right away. And I had a bit of time to get all my crap out, and I got all my crap out. And then they came back a little earlier than expected, and then my stepdad also thankfully came home. And the only reason I think he actually came home this time as opposed to last time was because his biological child, my younger sibling, my younger half sibling, was actually home this time. They never came out of their room or made an appearance, but I still think that's the only reason that Mike even bothered to come home, because he did not seem to give a shit that I was by myself the last time that happened. So he actually came home. He hooked the trailer up to the truck that they wanted to take, and then they were supposed to figure out the money. But Sonny came up with some bullshit saying that he was gonna go fucking put some gas in the truck and make sure that it was all aired up and ready to go. And they wanted to, they no one trusted these people, but it's just kind of like, what can we do, because we've already told the cops that they can come and get it. So he got the thing and then drove it off to allegedly go like gas it up and shit. But then we think that he was basically driving, because the place that he said he was going to be, he wasn't at when my stepdad went to go check. And then at some point it was only my aunt Dorothy, and she was there after Sonny had left with both the truck and the trailer, and she was in Sonny's car. I think it's his car anyway. Talking to the other lady that works on the property, Michelle. And again, Michelle had some kind of weird, odd sense of trust in Dorothy, like still a little bit, even after all that crap. So it just like uh it was flabbergasting me, because I'm like, do you not know the kind of person that she is? She can play you like a fucking fiddle. And Michelle just still insisted that, oh, they're gonna she won't she won't steal this. I don't think she'll steal it. And I'm like, okay. So she was talking to Dorothy for like a good, like, I don't even know. It was for a while though, out in front of Victoria's thing, while Sonny was supposed to eventually bring the trailer back to finish the sale, and he wasn't coming back. And then eventually, I guess maybe Dorothy somehow got like a message from him saying that he was far enough, or they thought he was far enough. And then when Michelle was, they were trying to get the bank, the money to go through. My aunt Dorothy pulls some shit about how her Chime bank account isn't fucking working randomly, and then she lies and says that it's the signal that's not working randomly, and then she starts saying, "Oh well, it's already gone through." And Victoria's like, no, it hasn't. I ain't got nothing. No receipts, nothing. No email, nothing. No money. And then after all that, finally, my Aunt Dorothy's just like, well, then call the cops. And then she just fucking peeled out and drove away. And that pissed Michelle off. So Michelle, being made a fool, got into her car and followed them. And then somebody, I don't even remember who, between Victoria, Michelle, and my stepdad, all three of them, or one of them, called the cops and reported the vehicle as stolen, because it was technically stolen. Like, Victoria still had the bill of sale and everything. So they went and got pulled over on the fucking highway, and I got sent pictures of it. And they got arrested, both Dorothy and Sonny, and they got to spend, I think, 1 or 2 nights in jail. But I'm back from my temporary hiatus because I'm a little still stressed out about all this, because we don't know if they're stupid enough to retaliate, because they were stupid enough to make an issue that could have been just a non-issue. Like, they literally could have just gotten $1,000 and gotten away with a nice, or not a nice, but at least a fix-upable GMC truck to haul a free trailer, a free roof over your head. And they're both apparently allegedly homeless. Like, that's the sob story they were trying to sell to me or some shit when they were trying to reason with me. And I'm like, I don't want to hear it, because I literally just came from a shelter in St. Louis and I don't act like a dickhead. So anyway, they could have literally walked away with that and, been maybe $1,000 shorter, but they could have afforded it eventually, like literally within their, because Vic said they both get Social Security income. They could have gotten that and just left out of our lives and fucked off and did whatever. But instead, they thought to come up unannounced again, insult everybody, talk shit, accuse people of everything. They called me a whore, a hoe, again, threatened to shoot me, threatened to harm me physically, and then, misgendered me constantly on purpose and dead named me on purpose, and said vulgar things about my body and shit to, Michelle, that Michelle, for some reason, felt the need to relay to me. I didn't tell her not to tell me that kind of stuff, because usually I feel like people know not to say those kinds of things to somebody. Like, you don't want to actually tell them, like, I don't know. I'm not the kind of person that wants to hear people talk shit. I don't care what they say. But Michelle volunteered the information to me. And then I was just like, what a fucking nasty piece of shit, like, disgusting. Who talks about their nephew that way? In any case, and why are you talking about my genitals and everything? Because she was. She said her and I apparently are the exact same down there, which means that she doesn't have to respect me. And it's like, actually, number one, even if we somehow were the exact same down there, you still have to respect me as a fucking individual if you want the respect in return. You dumb, hypocritical, whiny baby. But number two, actually, we're not the same down there, because I'm physically intersex. Unless you went through a weird ass puberty too, where you had some strange changes in how you look down there. No, don't. Just don't even start. You never even been on testosterone. Your voice is nowhere near as deep as mine. You didn't even have an Adam's apple before you got on hormones. You didn't even have a bunch of masculine features before you got on hormones. Don't even hit me with that. You ain't even been in my life. You have no idea how I presented throughout my life. So, and she's always been like that too. Like, she's always just been like a ignorant, dipshit. I mean, go figure. She's not a smart person. But yeah, that kind of nailed the hammer in the coffin, because like I genuinely feel like her getting arrested after fucking off was like the sweet hot karma coming right for her ass. Well, maybe to people that believe in that thing, yeah. To me, I believe it was divine retribution, because she shouldn't have fucked with me, and also shouldn't have fucked with Victoria, who, you know, is a very benevolent person, for one, and two, she's handicapped. You're taking advantage of an elderly handicapped person. That's like bottom of the barrel horrible shit. Um, like you're a dirtbag type shit. But anyway, so I'm making this video. I think I said that before. I was trying to say why I made this video, but I'm making this video because I'm still kind of anxious that they're going to retaliate somehow. You know, because they're criminals, and they're also drug addicts, and they're also constantly, you know, they've got some chick who apparently also just eggs them on whenever they're like this too. Like, she's just as stupid and violent, was telling them to, you know, kick all our asses and start a whole scene or some shit, or take whatever they want or whatever. And it's like they're dumb enough to let that shit get to them, you know, like they're dumb enough to come up here twice and trespass twice and fuck around twice and threaten people verbally twice with no kind of like reasonable justification for the threats. You know, all they can do is come up and say, you stole this when you stole that, lie about having proof of ownership, which they don't have proof of ownership. Like, they lied about that. She said that they had the papers to come get the trailer when they came up here, and I knew that was bullshit. But I was like, I don't want to be in that trailer anyway, because it's small, dingy, it's infested with fucking spiders, and it smells like shit in there. Like, she did something to where it just stunk in there, and like all the air freshening things that my mom got in there were only usable up to a point, and then it just started being like overpowering. Like, it just smelled like weird female, like, not, I don't mean female in like a derogatory way, but it smelled like feminine stuff, you know, like when girls don't properly wash, it kind of smelled like that. So I didn't care, you know. They were assholes about it, but I was totally fine, because I'm like, fine, look, I can finally move into this trailer, which I've been painting and fixing up and everything. It's much bigger. It's much nicer. Doesn't smell like unwashed cooter. You know, like it's nice in here, and hopefully it'll only get nicer the longer I live in it. Um, but on the off chance that they decide to fuck around and try and retaliate, you know, this video's here. I don't know what good it'll do, but I just hope that they don't mess around anymore. Like, I hope spending a night in jail and losing their car, like they're losing their vehicles because they got pulled over without licenses, and I don't even think the registration's up to date. Along with getting in trouble for a stolen vehicle, like they're on the street, and I don't know what else their situation is, but hopefully they just decide to fuck off and try and get themselves back, like get their shit together, rather than waste time trying to come up with some form of retaliation or hold a grudge or something. Because number one, I don't need any more reasons to feel hostile. You know, as much as I say, I like to myself, I wish that I could just get into a fight one day and just take out all this pent up aggression and trauma and rage that I feel has been building in me. At the same time, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to give in to that kind of behavior, and I don't want to revert to where I'm just constantly just like, you know, mad and wanting to fucking fight for my life. Like, I don't want to live like that. So, um, yeah, stick together, everybody, and look out for one another, and don't take tweakers lightly, because they be doing some stupid, stupid, selfish shit. But yeah, I'm kicking. I'm doing well, at least as best as I can. Peace.